Welcome back, guys. It's Josie or Josal, and I'm back with another video. Sit down for a second. You chill? You good? All right, let's vibe. All right, enough vibing. Okay, so today I'm going to be talking about Samurai Champloo. I know in my previous videos when I'm describing a piece of art, whether it be a game, anime, or manga, I talk about it as if it's the best piece of art I've ever experienced, and obviously that can't be the case because it's not. However, that being said, Samurai Champloo has been in my top 3. It used to be way lower on my list, but after rewatching it, it jumped all the way back up in my top 3. I realize there is a manga, but forgive me if this is irreverence, but I don't think it's necessary to read. Sure, there might be a few things that has changed from the anime, but with the anime being as good as it is, I just don't see a point of reading the manga. So I think to best get a good idea how I feel about the series, it would be smart to go over it in sections and just give you my opinions on the series in general. I'm gonna start off by covering the music because personally it's the most impactful to me. Don't get me wrong, the other sections are important too, it's just for me the music is what hit me the most. Being a musician myself, link in the description, yes, I put it in there. Music has consistently been able to impact me and persuade my emotions depending on how good the song is. Believe it or not, I actually discovered Nujabes way before I had even heard of Samurai Champloo, and I fell in love with Nujabes' work back in 2015 and subsequently listened to his entire discography. I obtained it completely legitly. The way Nujabes seamlessly made hundreds of little masterpieces and shared them only regarding the art, not worship of self, is pretty amazing. The connection between the music and the actions that happen on screen merge into one coherent aesthetic that makes it infeasible to dislike. I want to go more in depth with the tiny little details that make me love Nujabes and everything he's put out, but I also want to leave that for another video. I have at least 2 hours worth of things to say about it, so I'll leave that for another time. Just know the music is probably the best part of the anime in my opinion. As for the characters of the story, I'm going to focus on the protagonist trio composed of Mugen, Jin, and Fu. Mugen is a very upfront and easy to understand character. His personality traits almost trend on being a trope, but Mugen somehow stays a very interesting character despite lacking a ton of depth. Opposite of Mugen, Jin is actually a nicely written, enigmatic character. He's more closed off and difficult to read, whereas Mugen wears his emotions on his sleeve. Jin's fighting style is very orthodox and straight. He's so skillful and slick with his movements, and that shows him to be someone who perfected their craft under a teacher. If you haven't noticed yet, Jin and Mugen are total opposites. However, the one thing they are similar in is their love for the sword. It's very reminiscent of like Goku and Vegeta, but both of them have badass personalities. It doesn't come off as disingenuous, and they both have a mutual respect for each other. Fu is like the glue keeping them together. No matter how many times they split up, all of them end up back together because of Fu. Acting like a little sister to Mugen and Jin, mediating their constant animosity between them. Fu is the perfect counterbalance between the cocky, arrogant vagabond that is Mugen and the unmoving, self-assured prodigy that is Jin. They're like an unstoppable force meets an immovable object. They stalemate constantly. Now I want to go over some things in the plot line, the story, and the setting that really appeals to me. In terms of the story, it's pretty straightforward. I don't think there is anything you can say about the plot line itself that really sticks out there, but there are some things to note. The fact that Mugen and Jin stays with Fu all over a coin flip seems like a pretty interesting plot point. It focuses our attention to the idea of honor in the series, which they both hold true to. The amount of adventures these three went on would be comparable to Avatar: The Last Airbender. Each episode was like a story of its own and seems almost non-linear in the way it's portrayed. That can either be seen as a good or a bad thing depending on what you value in a series. For me, Samurai Champloo's flashiness and laid-back early 90s feel was enough to keep me glued to the series. I remember watching the series and thinking to myself, man, this actually really reminds me of Cowboy Bebop. And then come to find out that Cowboy Bebop and Samurai Champloo were made by the same people. One thing I do want to say is the whole time we are following these guys around trying to find the samurai that smells of sunflowers, we end up figuring out that sunflowers don't have a smell. But the samurai is actually Fu's father, and it actually surprised me. They kept this one plot point hidden so well throughout the series. Seeing them only in flashbacks, they play on this vague recollection, and he's constantly referred to as the samurai that smells of sunflowers. Fu is obviously upset with her father for not being there for her and her mother. She finally reunites with him in a shack where he is basically on his deathbed. It's revealed he had a just reason to leave them, and it's easy to sympathize with them both, right before he meets his death at the hand of a samurai trying to kill him. This part made me feel so much sadness for Fu because the entire journey was so that she could meet her father, and as quick as she seen him, he was assassinated right in front of her. So yeah, this was a video on Samurai Champloo. Let me know how you guys feel about the anime in the comment section below. If you guys disagree or agree, I'd love to talk to you about it in the comments. I also linked my Discord down in the description if you guys want to join that. There's not really many people there right now. It's just me. So, you know, maybe you guys can populate it up a bit. So yeah, I really appreciate it. Thanks, guys.